Noise Radio. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Sit back down and shut your trap. It's time for
Keeping It Sports with M3, right here on All Noise Radio.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Well, I'll need some beer.
Are you ready?
You have to ask me nicely.
Come on now, don't be bashful.
Are you ready? Are you ready for
Place for the best sports talk and news surrounding each league.
I can prove it with my usual flawless logic.
Hey man, this time we're gonna do it my way.
What's your name again?
And now, here's your host, M3, Mike Rosansky. Coming to you from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It's time for Keeping It Sports with M3, powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everything's going well for you here on this Monday, the second day of March. Damn, February just went and flew right by. I mean, it seems like it was just yesterday. I was sitting here getting ready for Super Bowl Sunday, and now it's all over, the shortest and quickest month of the entire year. But we're on to better times, happier times. I think we've avoided old man winter for the most part, knock on wood on that. And we're at, in particular, I've mentioned before, there are 2 times in the sports calendar that are my favorite times of the year. Well, this one, I would say more so than, October, when you have all 4 of the major sports going at the same time. Because we're less than 2 weeks away now from Selection Sunday with the NCAA tournament, where everyone, I'm sure, is going to go nuts over that. Even people who are not basketball fans or college basketball fans get into that, enter office pools, enter pools with their friends online, selecting their brackets. And with the chaos we've had this year, with the fact that seemingly other than Kansas, no one wants to be number 1 overall, and the fact that you're seeing top 10 teams go down to these unranked Cinderella schools each and every single week, who knows what kind of craziness we're in for when we get to the tournament. Just 2 weeks from Thursday, that will be getting underway. Now we're less than 2 weeks away from Selection Sunday. See what fun stuff that has for us. But also baseball getting started here. And I know it's the non-alcoholic beer portion of the program. I know it's just spring training games. These games don't matter for anything. And in a way, they don't, and in the way they do. If you're a veteran, you're just looking to get ready for the season. You're just looking to get prepared for the grind that is 162 games played in the span of, about 180 days, something along those lines, maybe a little bit more than that. And you're just looking get through spring training without any injury, much drama. That is, unless you're a member of the Houston Astros. You're hearing it each and every single day. Whether you're Altuve, you're going to the plate and you're hearing fans yell at you. Are you going to give back the MVP award? You're seeing fans scream into their dugout. You guys got to give the rings back. And to say the very least, they continued to handle it very, very poorly. But that's the Houston Astros. We've figured them out over the last several years. They're rotting all the way down, and it's not going to surprise us if at some point, somewhere along the line, we find out more about what's going on there, because I've said it all along. You know that there's someone else out there that knows something. You know that Jeff Lunau is just looking to do an interview. That Brandon Topman guy, their former assistant general manager, you know he's ready to throw someone under the bus. So more will come. They can't avoid it, and they're going to have to deal with it all year long. My only disappointing thing here is that they don't come to New York to play the Yankees early in the season, because someone put it, they would need a SWAT team to protect them. They would need to bring in the National Guard to protect them from the hostility they are sure to receive from Yankee fans. Unfortunately, they don't come to the Bronx until the last week of the regular season, and at that point, I expect both these teams to just be setting up their team for the postseason. Now, when it comes to the Yankees getting to the postseason, the aforementioned postseason, they have all the talent in the world to win a World Series. Finally get title number 28. But it's all going to be about not just starting pitching, not just the high-powered offense. It's going to be about finally getting lucky with some of this health problem they're having. I mean, whatever black cloud was hanging over them in 2019, it's already followed them to 2020. I mean, you had Aaron Judge in the first week of spring training. He's still dealing with this shoulder issue, and they keep doing MRIs coming back clean, but he keeps feeling some kind of soreness there. And you know it's got to be killing this guy, because he's had injuries each of the last 2 years, and it starts bringing up an interesting question with him, about being injury prone, about whether this guy can stay healthy to be a 150 game player each and every season that you can truly bank on. We see the talent. We see whenever he's out there, we see how good he is. The problem has been the injuries. And 2 years ago, that was fluky. Getting hit on the hand, there's nothing you could do about that. He got hit by a mid-90s fastball on the wrist, cost him 2 months of his season. Last year's the one where you look at it and you wonder, all right, what is he doing when it comes to working out? Is he doing too much when it comes to strength and conditioning? Focusing too much on power, focusing too much on core strength, having a six-pack, and that being almost to a detriment to him and leading to the oblique injury. Now you got the shoulder injury, and as we said, they're all always connected, all of these injuries somehow, some way. And is this from all the times that he's been crashing into the walls over the years? Because this is not his throwing arm. This is that he's dealing with the problem with, or else they wouldn't be allowing him to go out there to play catch. This is his glove side that he's dealing with the soreness to the shoulder. And they said they were going to do more tests today. Haven't seen any results on that. Just with him, you got to hope that he's ready to go at some point in these next couple weeks, so he can get some actual game action in before the start of the regular season. There, you know what? Because otherwise he's going to have to then start the season on the IL, something that it seems all too certain that Giancarlo Stanton is once again going to start the season with. And listen, it'd be very easy for me to sit here, criticize the guy saying, oh, you're making $25 million per year. You're always hurt. There's always something up with him. It'd be easy for me to call him soft and go that route, as I'm sure there are friends of mine who listen to this podcast that are doing it as I speak right now. And I'm not going to make any excuses for this guy. The last 2 years, he's been even more injury prone than Judge. Hell, he's probably the most injury prone player in baseball. He's their new Jacoby Ellsbury, with seemingly there is always something wrong with this guy. I mean, he's dealing with a calf injury now. Last year, he was dealing with all sorts of knee problems that allowed him to only play 18 games. Was limited as far as availability is concerned in the postseason, and no, it's led to a lot of anger, a lot of frustration on fans' part, and you got to figure it's a lot of frustration on his part, because he's an athlete. He is obviously one of the top players in the sport when he's available, and it's got to be killing him, the fact that he's not going out there being able to earn what he's being paid. And we make these rash criticisms all the time. Some of them deserved. When a guy complains about general soreness or complains that they're tired, then we get on their case, and deservedly so. But in the case like this, you think he wants to get hurt? I mean, no one's going out there trying to make up excuses saying they're hurt. Even back in the day, we used to get on Carl Pavano saying that he's dealing, when he was dealing with all his injuries, saying that he was robbing the Yankees of money. I'm sure even he wanted to be out there. Jacoby Ellsbury, with all the issues he's had the last 3 years that have essentially ended his career, you got to imagine that was driving him absolutely nuts. The only time that I ever believed that I saw someone with the Yankees that was actually looking for an excuse not to play was when they had Javier Vasquez. Somehow, some way, the entire 2010 season, he had a dead arm and had excuses made from left and right. That's a true story there, by the way. Go back, look, 2010. After every start, you were seeing comments by Girardi and Cashman that he was dealing with some kind of dead arm situation. But with injuries provide opportunity. Injuries provide a chance for someone to step up, seize the moment, seize the opportunity. And with the uncertainty behind Giancarlo Stanton's availability, with uncertainty to Aaron Judge's availability, it leads to opportunity for guys such as Miguel Andujar, who you trying to figure out what his role is on this team. But with that bat, as long as he's hitting, you're going to find a spot for him. Whether it's playing once a week at third base, whether it's taking games in the outfield to give certain players a day off. Whether we haven't seen him get reps at first base yet, but I'm sure that's going to come in the next 3 weeks as we get closer to opening day, him getting some actual game action there. Same goes for Clint Frazier. Clint Frazier, who to me, this is a make it or break it year for Clint Frazier. And quite frankly, I'm surprised he's still here. I know they had a rash of injuries last year, and last year showed you can never have enough talent, never have enough depth. But it's becoming more and more clear to me that he's not part of their long-term future. I mean, why else then would they have brought back Brett Gardner? Why else would they be trying Miguel Andujar as a corner outfielder if they actually did believe in Clint Frazier? But with those injuries, the opportunity is there for Andujar, for Frazier. It's up to them to seize it. as well goes when it comes to the starting rotation. And I was bummed out when I found out about this last, what was it, Tuesday afternoon, around 2:30, sometime between 2:30, 3 o'clock last Tuesday afternoon, when we all found out the news about Luis Severino having to get Tommy John surgery. And unfortunately, he'll miss the entire 2020 season and probably parts of 2021. A couple of thoughts ran through my head when this first happened, when this news first came out. I felt bad for him. He's missed the last 2 years. Let's face it. He made a cameo last year, pitched 20 innings for this team, but he really has not been part of the Yankees for the better part of 2 years now. And, he got hurt before his first spring training start last year. Came back at the end of the year, made 3 starts of regular season, 2 appearances in the postseason, and all was thought to be good heading into the offseason. And then his first throwing session of spring training, he's sent back to New York to have our MRIs done. And finally, when they do the die-cast MRI, I believe that's what it's called, they finally found the tear in his elbow. And now he's done for this year. And I understand this frustration by fans saying, no, why couldn't this be found back in October? Well, as I said, they do MRIs for all of these players after the season is over, before they go off for their off season, preparing for the next season. The medical staff didn't find anything. Obviously, they got fired during the off season. This new medical staff has done is now introducing the die-cast MRI when it comes to looking at the players' injuries, and that they finally found the issue. What's weird to me is, you would think that if he has the tear in his elbow, he'd be feeling it on a breaking pitch. He only felt it when he was throwing his changeup, but no, sucks that Yankees are going to now be without him for this year. And as I said, felt bad for him. Wondered why this wasn't found back in October. But now my mindset, now that he's out of the picture, my mindset shifts to, how do you fill the void? How do you fill the void of you losing a 27-year-old right-hander who, when healthy, has been a 2-time All-Star and has been as fun a young pitcher to watch in the big leagues? And how do you fill the void on a team that is looking to win a World Series this year? Because, you came into this year, you looked at that rotation on paper. You see a 1-2 of Cole and Severino, as good a 1-2 as there is across the league. You have a veteran, Tanaka, who, even though he can be up and down during the season, when you get in the big game, there's very few you'd rather have on the mound over Tanaka. You have Paxton, who was one of the best pitchers in the sport last year in the second half once he started throwing his curveball more. And J. Happ's still here, hoping that he has a better year than he did last year. And I do think he will be better this year after last year listening to the analytics department too much. And you're wondering, they have all these options. Well, now they're down 2 options heading into the season without Severino, without Paxton until the end of May because of back problems. And you're left with Cole, Tanaka, Happ, who thankfully they did not trade during the offseason, and a bunch of candidates competing for the 4th and 5th spots. Now, I understand why they haven't done so yet. I understand, the spirit of competition, not wanting to just give away roles and making people earn things. But let's face it, Jordan Montgomery is in this rotation. They should just, in the next week or so, they should just come out and say it right now, say that Jordan Montgomery is the number 4 starter. He's looked good in his 2 spring training outings, and I understand it's been 2 years for this guy since he pitched in a real big league game as a member of the rotation. But he has completely gotten through his rehab of Tommy John surgery. And 2 years ago, before he got hurt, he was looked at as a guy that could be a mainstay in the rotation for a while to come. So I don't understand why it's viewed as you got like 7 guys competing for these 2 spots. Montgomery, as far as I'm concerned, is in. Now it's up to figuring out that 5th spot, figuring out how you fill the void without Severino, without Paxton, without, we all forget, Domingo Germán, out till the first week of June because of his domestic violence suspension. And what a bonehead this guy is. What is? I'm sure some of you saw the video on Friday. What the hell is he doing? He's out with his buddies, roaring around the Dominican in a topless Jeep, and the thing goes tumbling over. He's lucky to break something, didn't get seriously injured there. But, I mean, if you're a guy that's serving a suspension, wouldn't you want to keep as low profile as possible? That's why the Yankees got him hiding out down in the Dominican Republic, so that the players on the team are not dealing with questions at spring training, because to me, that's an even bigger story than the Astros cheating scandal. And domestic violence, you're weighing the 2. Domestic violence is worse than sign stealing people. Let's be honest, and we still have no answers on what this kid did when it comes to leading to the administrative leave at the end of the year, and then his suspension following that, heading into the following season. But with that all said, now you have a bunch of guys competing for the 5th spot. You have guys with major league experience, such as Luis Cessa, Jonathan Loaisiga. Both cases, I think you'd be better off with serve with them as part of their bullpen, especially in the case of Loaisiga, who has never shown the ability to stay healthy, to be a starting pitcher, has never pitched more than 80 innings in any given season. I think if you put him out there in the bullpen, he could be, a strong multi-inning guy for this team going forward. And Luis Cessa, to me, he's nothing more than just a jag, another guy that can throw hard, and you hope that he doesn't screw things up when he goes in there. You have some veterans on minor league contracts. And then you have the other thing. I mentioned this earlier, how spring training games can be unimportant and important. Unimportant for veterans who are just looking to get ready for the season, but important for the young kids wanting to open eyes, wanting to get their feet wet and get onto a major league roster. And that's the situation you have when it comes to 3 young pitchers in the Yankees spring training who have all gotten good reviews, have all impressed so far. But you're asking the question, would the Yankees go that route? Would they go the route of going with one of the young pitchers? We've heard all the hype and hoopla around Davy Garcia over the last year, but he's still only 20 years old, and you're going to have to manage his innings as you go along. And I'm still not completely sure he's going to be able to physically hold up as a starting pitcher. I mean, the guy's smaller than me, and I'm 5'10", $165. I mean, you don't see many guys of that stature or smaller hold up as starting pitchers long term. I mean, Pedro Martinez was the exception, not the rule. You have Clark Schmidt, their first round draft pick from 2017, has impressed in 2 spring training outings so far, but still very young and not on the 40-man roster. That leads me to the third guy, who I think has the best chance to crack this rotation and be that guy, and that's Michael King, the less heralded of the 3 kids. But he's been a guy that they've developed in their own system since acquiring him from the Marlins 3 years ago, has come on the scene and been a pleasant surprise for them throughout the system. They added them to the 40-man roster at the end of last year, even made a relief outing in the month of September. To me, that's the route you go with. You go with Michael King because give Garcia and Schmidt a little more seasoning in the minor leagues, giving them something to strive for and control their innings in the month of April. King's a guy who at 24 has already thrown 170 innings in a minor league season, is pretty polished, and gives you a better option than just going with the opener once every 5 days, because then you're wasting Chad Green, having him pitch 1 to 2 innings, not using him in between those opens, having to have a bulk guy behind him, and then roll out all of your 1-inning guys, forcing you to put more pressure than there already is on Cole to go 7 innings every start, and relying on someone like J. Happ or Jordan Montgomery the day before to have to give you a deep outing. So to me, that's the route you go, even though no one's going to be able to replicate Severino. Give one of these young kids a chance, and maybe they'll surprise you. But by no means go opener. Hope that you can get through this with the rotation of Cole, Tanaka, Happ, Montgomery, King, until reinforcements arrive at the end of May, beginning of June, with the return of Paxton, followed by the return of Domingo Germán. And by no means do I want to see them go out there and make a trade. I saw this rumor earlier today about a potential Yankees-Mets trade, which, where have we heard that one before? It seems like that comes up every July because the New York media has nothing else better to do. In no way am I interested in the Yankees trading for Steven Matz. He's thrown 160 innings in his career once. Every time he throws 100 pitches, he seemingly wants to go in an MRI tube thinking that his arm is going to fall off. And he's just inconsistent, unreliable. Rather than take someone else's inconsistent, unreliable pitcher, I'd rather give one of our young guns a shot and see if they surprise us, see if they can, take that next step and become a quality major league pitcher. All right, I've been talking now for about a half hour, so I'm going to take a break here, get a drink of water, compose myself, because I got a lot left to get to here. Got some stuff with the NBA coming up, drama going on there on the court, off the court. Fun things went on this weekend involving both of the LA teams. Exciting races when it comes to the Rookie of the Year and the MVP award. Mixing some NFL as well. A lot to get to over the next about 40 minutes or so here, 35, 40 minutes or so here. If you're watching live and you feel like calling in, be sure to do so. You see the number on the screen if you're not watching, just listening in. Number's 856-330-4749. That's the number to get involved. Follow me on Twitter at M3Rosansky, as well as for this podcast on Twitter at Keeping It Sports. And everyone, continue enjoying your Monday afternoons by sitting back, relaxing, putting your feet up if you feel like it, and continuing to keep it sports with M3.
I'll be back.
You know, our jobs occupy more than half our waking hours. Shouldn't we be doing something we love? Call Connecticut School of Broadcasting at 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to gocsb.com. Since 1964, Connecticut School of Broadcasting, with a network of 12 campuses from Massachusetts to Miami, has helped place thousands of grads as DJs, sportscasters, entertainment reporters, behind the scenes in audio and video production, every aspect of the broadcast media. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has trained men and women of all ages and backgrounds in a matter of months, not years. Learn by doing from area radio and TV pros. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to gocsb.com. Remember, it's never too late to love what you do. Day and evening classes begin soon. Get trained. Get connected now.
You do have people talking about some of the stereotypes that have blown up around you. Charles Barkley, when they had the All-Star draft, was saying, oh, no one wants to take James Harden, he's a dribbler. Giannis Antetokounmpo makes a joke on the air about, I want to take someone who can pass. I'm taking Kemba Walker instead of James Harden.
I average more assists than him, I think.
You ranked 10th in assists going into the All-Star break, and Kemba ranked 36th in assists going into the All-Star break.
So I don't see what the joke is, but I didn't even see it. You know, I don't pay attention to stuff like that. I just know none of them can mess with me.
That sound was via ESPN, their weekly afternoon show, The Jump, an interview done last week by Rachel Nichols with James Harden, and it was addressing some comments made recently by Giannis Antetokounmpo when, if you remember, when they did the draft for the All-Star game, Giannis said that he didn't want to pick Harden because he isn't a passer. He selected Kemba Walker instead. And you heard it in there, James Harden's reaction to that. And for a guy that didn't listen to it, he was very quick to bring up where he ranks in assists and where Kemba Walker ranks in assists as far as the league is concerned. So it's funny how that kind of thing works out. He would go on to say the following.
To kind of address all of that, he said, being different doesn't really get appreciated until it works.
Yeah, or when I'm done. When it's all said and done, they'll appreciate it more. But I wish I could just run and with 7 feet and run and just dunk. Like, that takes no skill at all. I got to actually learn how to play basketball and how to have skill, I take that any day.
Now, for a guy that claims that he didn't hear what Giannis said, he's very quick to make, in what's many people's minds, a clapback at him, make a comment in response of what Giannis said, bringing up, I wish it'd be very easy if I was a 7-footer and all I did was dunk. Well, first off, actually watch Giannis play and you'll see that he does more than just dunk. He has developed a little bit of a three-point shot this year, not to the level of what you and your Rockets teammates do, where you guys are jacking up about 43s per game, but compared to previous years, he is shooting better from behind the three-point arc at just over 31%. Not great, but it's an improvement compared to what we've seen in recent years from Giannis. And he has shown more of a willingness over the years to play defense, unlike Harden, who Harden acts like defense is optional at times. And I heard a lot of people come on TV and try and come to Harden's defense saying that, he's an underrated defensive player in the post. Come on, watch the game. There are highlights after highlights. If you can't watch the game, go on YouTube. There are highlights after highlights of this guy showing no effort on the defensive end. Maybe standing within arm's reach of the guy to look like he's actually part of the play. But in all honesty, James Harden is not a great defensive player there. And Harden should really shut up when it comes to clapping back at other individuals. When you consider, he's been a choke artist in the postseason. Now, you could say that Giannis came up small after winning the MVP with losing 4 straight to the Rockets. The Raptors in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that would be fair. But we've seen plenty of choke jobs by Harden over the last several years. Look, last year they had the perfect opportunity to beat the Warriors. Durant goes down in Game 5. They win it in Golden State. Durant doesn't play in Game 6. And it was all there for them. It was all there for them to take this series. And they lose the series in 6 games. Then you go back a couple years ago, they got a Game 6 at home against the San Antonio Spurs, and he gets blown out by 35 points. I mean, come on. He disappeared in the finals against the Heat in his final year in OKC. We've seen plenty of choke jobs by Harden. Add in the fact that James Harden has been given essentially a pardon by the NBA. And what I mean by that is if you watch James on any given night, what is his signature move? It's that step back jump shot. That is clearly a travel. He takes like 3 feet before he actually takes the shot. And no one calls him on it. The league even put out a memo, what was it, last year or the year before, and said that's not a travel, even though anybody with 2 working eyes can clearly see that's a travel. And come on, who are we kidding ourselves here? I may not be the smartest person in the world, but I'm not dumb. I'm not blind. I can see that's a travel. You can see that's a travel. Just admit it. That's a travel. I will give him one piece of credit, though, and I'll give it that Rockets team in general. No, I did not believe in any of this small ball stuff that they're doing, and I still have my questions whether this can actually work in the postseason when the game starts to slow down. But they've played very well since trading Capella. They're 7-2 now, 5-0 since the All-Star break, and you're having Harden and Westbrook come off an incredible month of February in which each of them was averaging 30 points a game. Westbrook led the league in points in the paint per game, showing that while everyone else is just jacking up threes, he's going to stick with his game plan that's made him such a ferocious competitor throughout his career, as well as lead the Rockets to that big win on Saturday night in OT against the Celtics. Kind of a weird game, the fact that first time in 53 years that you had no player on the court that was 6'9" or taller. I guess Taco Fall wasn't available that night for the Celtics, but they're playing well with this strategy. But it's all about the postseason for both of them, for both Westbrook and Harden. They've had their demons in the postseason, and for 2 guys that are widely regarded as superstar players in this league, the NBA, I think more so than any sport, you're harshly criticized as a star if you do not win a championship. In the NFL, we give Dan Marino a pass for not winning a title because football can be such a wacky game with the one and done format. In baseball, you've seen players never even get to the postseason with how not everybody can make the playoffs. And no one says that Ken Griffey Jr. is any less of a player for limited appearances in the postseason and for never making a World Series. Hell, surprisingly, we don't dock it against Mike Trout for no postseason experience. But these two guys, they wanted to be teammates together. They wanted to be those superstars that pair up and win a title, thinking that the two of them together gives them their best opportunity to do so. It's, at some point, they've got to seize opportunity because, at some point there's going to come a time when LeBron James is not in this league anymore. At some point, you can't guarantee that Kawhi Leonard is going to stay healthy for his entire career with all the knee issues that he has dealt with, all the knee problems he's had throughout his career. At some point, these two guys have to step forward and seize the opportunity in front of them. You just wonder when or if that some point is ever going to happen. Now, there are a couple things I was watching yesterday across the league. You had both LA teams playing, Clippers in the afternoon, Lakers at night, and my long belief has been that we are on a collision course for an all LA battle in the Western Conference Finals this coming May, heading into June. And, the funny thing is, Clippers, they pull off the victory yesterday against the Sixers, but that wasn't exactly the main story here. They beat the Sixers at home, which shouldn't come to a surprise to anyone. Deeper team. They're actually 8-0 when the team is all healthy and not taking any of these rest days or monitoring their what do they call it? Maintenance days. Excuse me. But no, the real story here is you look over at the Sixers. A, the fact that they can't win on the road. And B, the injury problems that they're dealing with. And, we talked about for years the trust the process nonsense, which was an embarrassment to the league. But it did give them two highly talented young players. Two young players that now are dealing with injury issues. One in Ben Simmons, who I still can't understand this with his injury, right? He misses the first game after the All-Star break against the Brooklyn Nets. Comes back 2 nights later against the Bucks. Why did you think with a back that he was going to be ready to go 48 hours later? And if he was having the back problems, why did he even suit up for the All-Star game? I mean, you got to imagine that it wasn't just in the All-Star game that these issues started to crop up. They bring him back. They rushed to bring him back against the Bucks, and now he's out for the next couple of weeks. Who knows if he comes back during the regular season? And now you add in this issue with Joel Embiid straining his shoulder last week against the Cavs. He's out. And you're relying on Tobias Harris to play up to his $30 million contract, get something out of Al Horford. Let's face it, the only reason they're even in the game yesterday is because this youngster, Shake Milton, who I'm sure half of you out there, or even more so, probably 75 to 80% of you out there had never even heard of this kid before yesterday, comes out, puts up 39, and like, who? And the guy hasn't missed a 3-point shot since the second quarter on Thursday. He's made, 13 or 14 consecutive 3-point shots now, and now he's being thrown into the fire and being relied upon to be a source of offense for them. And no, I'm not doubting the kid's skill. I'm not doubting that the kid can play here. But when you're forcing him into action, that's depleting your depth and depleting your bench from having that secondary offense. When you have, both Simmons and Embiid healthy, then you can have this kid Milton come in. He provide a little bit of a spark coming off the bench, and then you have more of a trustworthy bench rather than getting smoked by the Clippers' second unit yesterday, led by the likes of Montrezl Harrell and company there, and Lou Williams, both of which scoring 24 on them yesterday. So, you saw concerning things for both teams, but I'm concerned about this Sixers team, whether, even if they only get one of Embiid or Simmons back, whether this team has enough firepower to even be respectable in the playoffs. But last night, what a show we got. Second time in the week we get Lakers, Pelicans. Unfortunately, Anthony Davis didn't play in the game, and you could see that LeBron was jacked up for this game. Knowing that he was going to have to do a little bit more without Davis there, knowing that Kuzma was going to be his second best player on the court from last night, and you're dealing with a couple other injuries across the roster, so he was going to need to really step forward. Plus, going up against the young phenom, going up against a young stud in Zion Williamson, who's taken what LeBron did as a 19-year-old rookie through 15 games and completely bypassed all of those numbers, averaging about 24 points a game, shooting over 50% from the field, even making foul shots. And he's still got the question about his durability long term, but it was a sight to behold that game last night with Zion. Even in he put up 31 points over 34 minutes, and you didn't even, if you watch, you didn't feel like he played well. There were some opportunities for open dunks that he missed last night, and had 6 turnovers to go with that. But LeBron sees him make one of these dunks in the second quarter, decides to jack up a 30-foot three-point shot, and it's like, listen, young fella, your time will come, but it's still my time. It's still my show. And, this is the overall theme I want to get to when it comes to LeBron. I understand with every great athlete, at times by the public, there can be fatigue. There can be the thought of, you don't want the sport to be all about one player. And we saw that in the 90s with Michael Jordan. He could have and probably should have won the MVP award every year, but there were years they gave it to Malone. There were years that they gave it to Charles Barkley because the writers had Jordan fatigue. And the same applies for LeBron James. The year Derrick Rose won the MVP with the Bulls, you could have easily given that to LeBron in what was, I believe, his first year with the Miami Heat. And what adds to the impressiveness about what LeBron's doing is that he's doing it at age 35 in his 17th year in the league, 1 year removed from having 8 consecutive appearances in the NBA Finals. So while he's played 17 seasons, you add in all the finals appearances, he's really played the equivalent of about 20 years on a 35-year-old body. It's remarkable what he's doing at this age. And to me, it's a 2-horse race when it comes to the MVP race. It's either him or Giannis. Giannis averaging nearly 30 a game. as I said, added a three-point shot to his arsenal and has his team in first place at 52-8, with a chance to win 70 games this year. And you look at LeBron, the fact that he's got the Lakers at first place in the West. Somehow it's not being treated as impressively as what the Bucks are doing when you consider the West is deeper. You got teams like the Clippers, the Jazz, the Nuggets, the Rockets in the West. While in the East, to me, the only real threat till the Milwaukee Bucks is the Boston Celtics. They're the only team that can match them as far as a depth standpoint. They don't have a Zion. They don't have a Giannis Antetokounmpo on their team, but they're probably 2 through 10 as deep as the Milwaukee Bucks roster is. And after that, you got just a bunch of potential second round teams in the Eastern Conference. No one that's really a championship threat. Well, I mentioned all the teams in the Western Conference, and the fact that LeBron has the Lakers in first place in the West, has them in a spot where they're going to have home court throughout, and it is doing that at age 35, at a time in a year where Anthony Davis has missed games here or there with injuries. LeBron has played 56 out of 59 possible games. It's absolutely remarkable, and I don't think he's being given enough credit, enough respect for what he's accomplished this year. And it feels like we're treating it almost as matter-of-factly, when really there's going to come a day, 3 or 4 years down the line, where we're going to look back and say, damn, I wish we appreciated more what LeBron James did at age 35, because we're never going to see anything like this again. We're not going to see a guy come into the league at 19 with all the hype, with all the expectations, live up to every single one of those expectations. Was there a fault along the way? Yeah. No athlete's perfect. No, I guarantee if you asked him, he would go back and change doing the decision. Not going to Miami, but doing the TV show, doing the championship celebration before that team accomplished anything, with the whole not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6 championships, guaranteeing winning a title before they did anything. Guarantee he would take that back. But other than that, he's never once jaded us in effort. Every game he's been physically available to play in which his team allowed him to play in the game and wasn't load managing him. He went out there and has gone out there and given us 100% effort 100% of the time. And I don't know about all of you, but there's nothing more you can ask for from a professional athlete. And one of these days, unfortunately, in the next couple of years, we're going to regret not appreciating that more than we already did. All right, I'm going to take another break here, come back on the other side, talk some NFL here with the Combine going on this past weekend, as well as some interesting comments made by a New York head coach. Continue keeping it sports with M3.
I'll be back.
It's been 48 years Connecticut School of Broadcasting has helped place thousands of people, just like you, in exciting careers in radio, television, and the new media. At Connecticut School of Broadcasting, our hands-on approach is different. It's designed to have you spend less time in the classroom and more time in the studios. From the first day, you'll work with state-of-the-art equipment. Learn by doing from our team of industry professionals who come from their studios to ours. The best part about it? You'll learn it all in a matter of months, not years. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has a network of 12 campuses from Massachusetts to Miami. Remember, it's never too late to love what you do. So do what I did. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO. Step into the fast-paced world of the broadcast media. Day and evening classes begin soon. Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Get trained and get connected now. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to gocsb.com.
I'll kind of be very upfront with everyone right now in terms of how I'm going to deal with analyzing specific players. I want you to understand this because it's important to me. Every one of our players is going to come here with a blank slate and be able to compete from the ground up from day one. And I'm not going to establish any kind of status or hierarchy within the individual players or position groups by spending a month talking about individuals. That's important to me, and I want you guys to understand my reason for that. I can't tell everyone that they've got an equal slate and they show up on April 7th and I've spent a month talking about a specific player. Okay, everyone's going to have the same opportunity on a daily basis to compete. So I respect the question about the individuals. Trust me, we've analyzed everyone top to bottom, inside out. We've talked about it. Coaches, scouts, personnel, player development, team security. We're getting to know everything we can possibly know about who we have on our roster, as well as everyone looking to bring in and join our roster as well. But my reason for not going into individual players at this point is it's important that our players understand the only thing that's going to be relevant is how they perform from day one moving forward, that the past is irrelevant.
Welcome back to Keeping It Sports with M3. Those comments that you just heard there were made by the new head coach of the New York Giants, Joe Judge, last week at the NFL Scouting Combine when talking about the quarterback position, mainly his young quarterback, Daniel Jones, or so we think his young quarterback, Daniel Jones, who, let's face it, in the, what's it been, a month and a half now since he was hired, he is still not, when asked about Jones, mentioned him by name. It almost seems as if he is allergic to saying Daniel Jones's name. And, he keeps getting asked every which way possible about Daniel Jones, including when asked about preparing the quarterback for game action.
We've got to build around everyone's skill set. So, yeah, you're right that, every position has to add into what you do schematically, but every position is going to be competition every day. Every position. Now,
let me state this. I actually like this hire when they brought Judge in because it was different. It went against the grain of what the Giants typically do. The Giants typically bring in someone that they have some kind of previous association, previous link to, or as I've referred to it, someone from within the family. That being said there, how can you go on and say that, there's going to be competition every day and we can't just prepare the quarterback when you have a young quarterback and development of that quarterback for the present and the long term of your franchise is the most important thing. Now, Judge would be given the opportunity to talk more about Jones, and this is what he would go on to say.
Will Daniel begin as your first quarterback when you do get it?
Our depth chart's on that board right there right now. No one's got a spot.
You got to be kidding me when it comes to this Judge guy. I mean, he is making the big mistake that every one of his predecessors has made. And no, I'm not talking about predecessors as far as former Giants head coaches, other than maybe Ben McAdoo, who tried to come in with this whole tough guy gimmick that led to him getting fired only a year into his time with the Giants. No, I am talking about the mistakes that Josh McDaniels made, Eric Mangini made, that Charlie Weiss made, that Romeo Cornell made. All of the previous guys from under the Bill Belichick tree who sat there and tried to give us the non-answer answer, tried to be Bill Belichick as ungrouchy as possible, and tried to, as I said, tried to be just like Bill. And in this area, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to fly. But to go and say, when asked, Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones your quarterback, and say that, look at our depth chart right now, there's not a name on there. I mean, what are you trying to pull here? What are you trying to do? And as I said before, I liked the hire when they made it. I thought it was different, against the grain. But my opinion somewhat changed on that when he had the opening press conference. And it seemed like every other sentence, every other phrase was your kind of head coaching cliche, talking about how hard they're going to come in, that no one's going to outwork us, no one's going to out-prepare us, talking about how competitive we're going to be in practice, talking about we're going to bring out the best possible version of every player, on and on and on. And I'm like, all right, maybe he's just excited, getting a crack at a head coaching spot. You can understand that. Anybody will be like that during an introductory press conference. But you also were saying to yourself, calm down, pal. The season's still 6 months away. But to now, you're given chance after chance to talk about Daniel Jones. And he seemingly continues to refuse to talk about Jones, whether it be give an opinion of his season last year, which I can't believe that he hasn't yet seen any film on him play. I mean, hell, your team played him last year. You had the chance to see him play. All right, I'm going to take a risk here. I got someone trying to call in. Let's see if there's an actual caller. See, that's the risk I take when trying to answer calls here. I always seemingly get the computer sound, or I get the insurance company calling in. That's why I've been so hesitant to answer calls on here if there's been anyone who actually calls in. But you know what? Back to Judge. No, he did see Daniel Jones play in a game up in Foxborough. Did get a chance to watch him firsthand. Has had plenty of time on his hands since the Patriots season ended and he became the head coach of the Giants. And still he has this outright refusal to A, acknowledge anything about Daniel Jones, and B, talk about him as the starting quarterback. I mean, this is a guy, if you remember, last year when they drafted him, Gettleman said it was love at first sight. The first time I saw him at the Senior Bowl, I fell in love. And now you have a head coach that seemingly, at least publicly, is not on that same page. I mean, if you're Gettleman, don't you got to call this guy in and be like, I know I say some kooky things in public here, but what the hell are you doing? This is our franchise quarterback. You can't be thinking about possibly taking a quarterback with the your first round pick, or even as I heard this crazy rumor last week. There was someone that was broaching the idea of the Giants possibly being a contender to sign Tom Brady. Either way, the Judge has, he's a rookie coach. He hasn't coached a game yet, but someone's got to get that guy's head square on his shoulders and be like, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you talking about? Why are you not even acknowledging our young quarterback and acting like this is any form of a debate, any form of discussion that Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback? I mean, unless the hierarchy is feeding down to him, telling him to act like this, to give them free press, giving them the media something to write about every day. I don't get why. I don't understand why he continues to pull this nonsense, other than it's the typical head coach from the Belichick tree trying to be too much like Bill. Now, I mentioned Brady a second ago when it comes to his impending free agency, and it's just like I sat here on that Monday, January the 6th, right after they were eliminated by the Titans. And I told you all this was going to happen. I warned us all that as great as it was that the Patriots were eliminated early in the postseason, that the biggest problem was going to become the fact that every day the media was going to feel bored. Every day they were going to feel the need to talk about Tom Brady and his next location. I mean, you've seen, he was talking to Mark Davis at an MMA event. You've seen, him go to a Syracuse game with Julian Edelman and Jimmy Fallon, and Edelman wearing T-shirts saying "Sign Brady," "Stay Brady," stuff like that. Or then there's, when they're sitting at the game, they're FaceTiming Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Let's face it, you don't know where he's going. I don't know where he's going. Everyone in the media, all of them, the Adam Schefters of the world, the Ian Rappaports, every single the Chris Mortensens, every single one of these insiders, every single one of these talking heads on TV or these reporters, they can sit there and act like they have some idea where Tom is going, some idea what Tom's next move is. But they don't know anything. They don't know a thing. I don't know it. No one knows. Only two people know Tom's next move. And that's Tom himself and his wife, Giselle. Because, of course, as we all know, happy wife, happy life. Plus, she makes more money than him, so she is going to have a deciding factor in Tom's next move here. But he's the only one that can answer these questions. And these are questions that are going to, unfortunately, keep getting answered over the next 2 weeks, as we are 2 weeks away from legalized tampering in the NFL, 2 weeks away from this Wednesday where you can actually sign free agents. And I have stated this point over and over again. I'll continue to state this until the cows come home, until I'm blue in the face on it and about to pass out from a lack of oxygen. Until that moment hits, where I see it scroll across the bottom of my TV screen, whether it be on ESPN, Fox Sports 1, Yes, SNY, any of these sports outlets, CBS Sports Network, NFL Network, any of them, until that moment comes where I see that Tom Brady has signed, and it's signing with a team that is not, and I repeat, is not the New England Patriots, I'm not going to believe he's leaving. He's one of Robert Kraft's favorite sons. Hell, Robert Kraft might love him even more than he loves Jonathan Kraft. And that it's one of about 5 players that you could say that about with Tom, with Willie McGinnis, Gronk, Vince Wilfork, Teddy Bruschi. Those are his 5 adopted sons, the 5 Patriot players amongst them all that he loves the most over the years. You really think push comes to shove that he's going to go down without a fight of allowing Tom to walk out that door? And then it's going to lead to an even more interesting and at times annoying as hell discussion, the future of Bill Belichick. Does Belichick decide, oh, you're forcing this guy on me? I'm out of here. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. No, it's funny. When they lose, they are more of a story than they are when they win. And that's what happened. Losing to the Titans has made them more of a story every single day than they would have been had they beaten the Titans and advanced to play the Chiefs on the following weekend. It was just, bound to happen there. But I will state this again. I'll continue to state this until I see Tom signs with the Titans or with the Raiders or with the Chargers or somebody that's not the New England Patriots. I'm not going to believe it because we've had too many of these false alarms over the years where we thought it was a lock someone was leaving, a lock someone was going somewhere, whether it was, the most infamous one to me was Cliff Lee going to the Yankees, or everyone thought it was a lock that Peyton Manning was going to go to the Miami Dolphins when he got released by the Colts. Until I see that day happen, I will never believe it, because that Patriot dynasty seems to be the curse hanging over my life, all Jet fans' life, Bill fans' life, and Dolphin fans' life that seemingly will never end. And that, my friends, was Keeping the Sports with M3 from Monday, March 2nd, 2020. Everyone have a great night, and I'll talk to you guys again same time next week. Peace.
We have to go. Good night, everybody.
I have had enough of you.
Thank you for all the fun. Thank you. Hey, shut up, will ya?
I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to smell you. Now leave. I'll be back.